Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm It's Robbie Rhino, and in today's video I'm really excited to be able to showcase for you the recently released FV101 Scorpion, which is an Era 1 British light tank for the Western Alliance in the Cold War game mode, and it leads on from the Centurion 2 in the Tech Tree in the Western Alliance, and it's an absolute blast to play. It's extremely quick, very small in size, plays the scout role extremely well, and you can get this thing to over 100 kilometers an hour if you use the mobility equipment and the fuel consumable, and obviously due to its small size is incredibly hard to hit, and because there are so many, or there have been so many this week since its release in the matchmaker, I'm not so sure it's good for the game. Maybe if the light tanks were limited in the matchmaker it would be a lot better, so hopefully that's something Wargaming will address, but obviously let me know in the comments what your opinion is. It's very fun to play, very annoying to come up against in terms of trying to hit the damn thing. Maybe this will sort of balance itself out. Looking at the statistics, it's actually fairly low on the mark requirements, so maybe people aren't playing it particularly well, but it still is a pest, and it kind of reminds me of when the Armadillo was released in Era 2. So I've got 3 replays for you today, the last being an absolutely insane 10k combined damage gain that I had in this tank just a day ago. But first I'm going to run down the statistics of this tank for you, show you my command and equipment setup, and then we'll get stuck into what's happening in the gameplay. So out of the box you have 1650 hit points and 525 meters view range, which is perfectly adequate, and mobility wise is where it gets insane. So straight out of the box you have a 235 horsepower engine, but due to its size you are able to go at 80 kilometers an hour forwards, 80.5 kilometers an hour forwards to be exact, 38 kilometers an hour backwards, which is really nice to be able to get you out of trouble. You have a power to weight ratio of 27.36, and you have a hull and turret traverse of 38 degrees a second, so it's extremely nimble, and it is just like an Era 1 Armadillo. Armour wise, yeah, there's about 50mm on the thickest part of the armour, which is on the front of the turret, so it doesn't have any armour, and you will be penetrated by HE rounds, HEP rounds, HESH rounds from your fellow British or Western Alliance tanks, so yeah, be careful. And gun wise is where it gets really interesting. It's quite unique. It's a 76mm gun with 17.14 rounds a minute, and it only has 2 ammunition choices, and they are both high explosive. The first is HEP, so the higher penetration HE, and the second is just regular HE. They both deal 250 alpha damage, and the penetration on the HEP is 90, so very low, and the penetration on the regular HE is 48, so you do have to get the sides and the rear of your enemies to be able to penetrate, but as you can see it fires really fast and it has an incredible damage per minute, which I'll get onto in just a second. The shell velocity is slow because it is high explosive rounds and HEP rounds. It's 585 meters a second on its HEP and 565 on its regular HE, so you do have to be careful that when you are auto aiming and someone else is moving, you're going to have to be in a direct line to have any chance of hitting them, and if you're leading at distance you're going to want to have to practice leading with these rounds. You have a base reload of 3.5 seconds and an aim time of 1.6, which is very nice. An accuracy of 0.3, which isn't too bad, and that gets down to a really decent level if you have a good commander and you use the correct equipment. It has 10 degrees of gun depression, meaning it's really versatile on a ridgeline, and 35 degrees of elevation, meaning you're able to fire if you're going up a hill, etc. It carries 70 rounds, which you can run out of very quickly because of the fantastic rate of fire, and the DPM fully upgraded gun is 4,285, and yeah, that's without any commander skills or any equipment, and I've got that up to, I think it's nearly 5,000 DPM. Bear in mind that is obviously if you penetrate, which you most likely won't be penetrating every round because of the low penetration on the HEP and HE, but if you are able to get behind someone and pound round after round into them, you have an incredible DPM, and this thing is capable of some really funky stuff. So, equipment wise, I run Advanced Concealment, Gun Stabilizer and Traction System. I've been sort of toying around with the Advanced Concealment, taking it off and putting on the other mobility equipment, which isn't the traction system, that I've actually forgotten the name of. But yeah, that gives you the 5% extra horsepower and max speed, and that's probably a wise choice. But I've just been playing around with the camo, playing around with how I can get away with being really sneaky and that kind of thing. And commander wise, I run 6th Sense, Born Leader, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Muffled Shot, and Green Thumb. A very standard kind of light tank, sneaky light tank setup, and I find that works really well for me, and it gives me now a concealment rating of 169 meters and a view range of 583. So in that game in the background, we finish with a really nice total of 3.4k direct damage, 2.7k assistance. We get 2 kills, make some nice silver, and finish MVP. So we'll head on into the second replay, and I'll just tell you about some of the statistics now with my commander and equipment setup, and then we'll talk about the gameplay. So see you there in a bit. So we're now into the second replay of the video, and I'll just finish telling you about my upgraded statistics now that I have a 9-skill commander and equipment on this tank. So I have a 3-second reload, a 1.5 second aim time, an accuracy of 0.27, and yeah, my DPM was just shy of 5,000 if I penetrate every round, of 4,965 if you use the exact same equipment and commander setup that I use. And I also run, as you can see, the enhanced combat rations, but smoke would be an excellent choice. I just haven't had any experience of using that. Coming over from World War II, I'm kind of one of those players that yeah, I'm still learning all of the sort of functions of Cold War and how best to use them. With the mobility equipment that I've used, the traction system, I now go 88.5 kilometers an hour forwards, 41 kilometers an hour backwards, and my hull traverse is now 41 degrees a second, and my turret traverse is now 39 degrees a second. So yeah, extremely mobile, and because it's so quick and you are circling people that are slower than you, just be warned that because your turret traverse is ever so slightly slower and your hull traverse is so quick that it does take a while for your sort of turret to catch up with your hull. So yeah, make sure that you have acquired your target before you are firing your rounds. So here on Thiepval Ridge, we have come to this sort of position on the E line. I'm just trying to get early spots out, but I've noticed there's this enemy Walker Bulldog here, and I want to just see what this tank is capable of in terms of going one-on-one with an enemy light tank. I'm going to try and take as many light tanks out as possible, so I have the view range, I have the power of that for my team. There's a stray T95E3 doing some weird stuff just out in the middle of the field, but I'm just going to use my mobility to scoot around the top of this hill, and this is a really nice aggressive location to come up to this hill. In E8, E9 area, you're able to spot a lot of tanks that are hidden at the back, like that T44A which we've just spotted, and a lot of tank destroyers and medium tanks do like to set up here, well, and heavy tanks for that matter. But yeah, as you can see me now, I'm trying to fire on top of the hull, on top of the deck of the hull there, or the T95E3, trying to make sure I penetrate. And now I'm just going to go in and try and help my friendly as much as possible. There are some tanks around the side of this ridge that I have to be careful of. I'm just keeping an eye on the minimap, trying to make sure that I'm staying safe. And as you can see there, I was trying to aim for the rear of that Centurion to make sure I penetrated, and the more penetrating hits you get, the more chance you have of damaging modules, because it is HEP and HE rounds. The more chance you've got of, setting tanks on fire, taking their tracks off, etc, etc. And with the ammunition, as you can see, I fire just purely the HEP rounds. I don't fire any of the regular HE. I want that extra penetration because it is so low anyway. Make a slight misplay there, sliding down the hill. It wasn't really my intention, but we do manage to get away with our lives. We've got 991 hit points left, and we've already picked up 1,387 direct damage and 935 assistance, and we've spotted a lot of tanks. And now we're just going to try and bait tanks over this hill, and as you can see, this T-44A has taken the bait, and he's going to be a sitting duck for my team. We're going to just run rings around him, distract him, while my teammates and I put rounds into him, and he's already a goner. As you can see, this thing it's so absolutely mentally mobile, especially for Era 1. The Armadillo was hard enough in Era 2, but this in Era 1 is, I'm not sure if it's really a good thing. I think maybe it might need to, need to have a rethink in terms of the mobility. I do find it, really fun to play, but you've got to think of, when you come up against them, how annoying they are. But for the moment, I'm just going to enjoy it, and I'm probably going to try and 3-mark it, maybe get my gold marks on it, because the requirements aren't too high. It's in the lower half of all the Era 1 tanks, so people are obviously, because of the mobility, rushing into really aggressive locations and getting themselves caught out. So I try and play aggressive in this tank, but I try not to sort of push it to a limit where I have no escape route. I always try and have an escape route, and I'm just now in the gameplay in the background, just sitting on this hill, trying to spot tanks, distract them, spot them for my friendlies, and push up my assistants. And as you can see, that charioteer there didn't spot us when we were, so close to him. I can't remember just how close we were, but yeah, it was under 100 meters, I'm pretty sure, and he wasn't able to spot us until we fired. So we do take a shot, we put a couple shots into the charioteer, and then we duck down below this hill. And this little baiting tactic is such a good tactic to play in this tank, because you're so annoying. Tanks will risk their lives just to come over ridgelines, just to come over and try and take you out, and because of your mobility, regardless of whether you're going forwards over 80 kilometers an hour or backwards at over 40 kilometers an hour, you're able to get out of harm's way and bait them into stupid positions. So now we're in this point of the game, I know that this game's won, or I'm almost sure, 90% sure this game's won, so I'm going to use the rest of my hit points to go over and try and get as much damage and pick up as much XP from this battle as I can. I wouldn't say that this kind of gameplay requires an extreme amount of thought, because you are so mobile, you do get out of really bad situations quite frequently, and it's partly skill and partly just because the tank is absolutely insane. But of course there are ways that you can utilise this tank strength to try and get the most out of it, which I hope I'm trying to showcase in this video. So we get some nice shots there into the T95E3, and yeah, we finish with 12 tanks left on our team. So that's another victory. We finish MVP again with 3.3k direct damage and just shy of 4k assistance. We get the Mastery Badge, which is really nice, pick up 1700 XP, and yeah, a nice lot of silver again. So now we're going to head on into the insane game that I had the other day, which is on Erlenberg, which is over 10k combined, and I'll talk you through what my thought process was, so I'll see you there shortly. So we're now into the third and final replay of the video, and we are here on Erlenberg like I said in the last replay, and this is a demonstration of the capabilities of this tank, and it's an insane game. I wouldn't say that I play this intelligently. I just try and sort of push this tank to its limits and see what you can get away with. So at the start of that battle, you'll see me just drive forward and get pushed into the wall, which is my fault for not looking where I was going, basically. But because of my mobility, we're trying to race forward and challenge this friendly light tank to try and spot the enemies out on this hill. So on Erlenberg, when Cold War wasn't a thing, last time that this map was around, you just get banks of tanks just camp in on the 9 line and on the sort of 2 and 3 line on the opposite side, and it could just turn into a stalemate. But with the addition of tanks like this, which have insane camouflage, insane view range, absolutely fantastic mobility. You can do things like this and spot up the entire team, and because of true vision and because of the enhanced view ranges, you can light up teams for your friendlies on the other side of the map. And I'm just gonna sort of try and take out this PT-76, and you can see what this tank does to a tank like that. And that's also another reason why I put that in the worst tanks to play series that I have. It's terrible at fighting one-on-one, but I think this is the king at fighting one-on-one, especially if you can penetrate all of your rounds. And I'm just going to stay this side of the hill, trying to bait tanks over into the line of fire for all of those tanks that you can see congregating around sort of B, C, 1 and 2. And I'm just using that bait tactic again. I'm going in, annoying them, spotting them, and when I feel like they're trying to rush me and come over, I'm just pulling back and trying to bring them out into the open and just keeping them lit. And I'm trying to keep as many hit points as possible at the start of this battle, so at the end of it I can go in and I can wreak havoc. And just your presence can absolutely like destabilize an opponent in this tank. They don't know whether to go for you or just to carry on fighting what's in front of them. And now I'm just going to go under the gun line of these tanks. I'm going to fire on the move, just in the hope that I track someone that might be on the ridge line. And if you track, you get the assistance, of course. And I'm also getting the nice spotting assistance that you can see racking up. We've already picked up 1,600 assistance and 1,000 direct damage. And I'm just going to poke a little bit deeper every single time I go around, and I'm trying not to make it too predictable where I'm going. I'm zigzagging, so if someone's targeting me, they have a harder time to hit me. And now I'm going to go in, get a shot on that T95E3. He gets set on fire, which is unfortunate for him. He throws smoke out, but he's almost a goner anyway. And now, as you can see, this bait tactic's working again, and we have this M46A1 coming after us, and he hasn't got a hope of catching us mobility wise. I make a bit of a misplay going up the hill there. I should have just handbraked to come back down, but he misses his shot nonetheless. And by the time he gets up to the top of the hill, I'm hoping that he gets taken out. I'm trying to fire when I get in a direct line with the reverse of the rear of the enemy tanks, especially when I'm auto-aiming, just to make sure I penetrate the weakest parts of the armour. Auto-aim can be your friend in a tank like this, so you can focus on where you're going and where you're trying to sort of go, but if you want to sort of guarantee penetrations, aiming is the way to go when you are able to. But when you're circling, auto-aim can be really good at close distances, even with the the small shell velocity. And I'm just going to sit on this ridgeline now and keep poking up and spotting. Unfortunately for us, the T95E3 behind us tries to, well, he does get a shot into us, but fortunately for us, we preserved our hit points nice at the start of the battle, and he got tracked with our shot behind that building, and I can just see on the kill feed there that he's taken out, so I can sit here on this ridge line and keep up spotting the enemies. I decide to go in now. I'm probably getting a bit overconfident, but I get away with it because of the mobility. Charioteers are really powerful tanks as well in Era 1, but if you circle them, they have a poor turret traverse, the same as the Charioteer obviously in World War II. So a tank like this is able to outmaneuver them, and if they don't move their hull at the same time as their turret, which a lot of new players won't know how to do, and I'm going to try and do a sort of tips and tricks series to help newer players out with skills like that, they aren't going to be able to hit you. You have to turn your hull and turret at the same time in order to be able to have a chance of hitting a tank like this, and you have to lead in front of them and sort of free aim your shots and not rely on auto-aim. But because of my mobility, I'm able to go around auto-aiming, just putting shot after shot into this Charioteer. They don't have good armour, so I'm going to penetrate the majority of my rounds. And, you know, in me talking about this sort of frenetic gameplay, you can see that we've picked up 4.8k assistance already and 4.5k direct damage. I'm just going to carry on circling around now, trying to get shots into targets where I see fit. Trying to get the lower health target out first, and now it's just these two tanks left. Charioteer gets finished off, and now we're going to slow down and try and get shots into the side and the rear of this 165. It's not the easiest tank to penetrate. I don't aim very well here, but I've already had a fantastic game. We bounce our second shell where it gets absorbed anyway, but we get the final kill shot, picking up 5k or 5.2k direct damage, 4.8k assistance damage. We get 5 kills, finish MVP, make a bucket turn of silver. I think that's actually base silver without any boosters, and it just shows you what this tank is capable of with 1995 base experience points. It's a really fun tank. I highly recommend it. Practice shooting them, because you're going to have to shoot a lot of them in the coming weeks and months, I'm sure. They're annoying things to hit, but playing them is fun, and I don't think they're particularly good for the matchmaker at the moment. Maybe if there was a limit, like I said in the first game, first replay in this video, then maybe it will be a little less sort of broken. But yeah, let me know your comments, let me know what you think and whether you're enjoying it. Until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield, and bye for now.